This episode is brought to you by Paycor, the HR and payroll software made for leaders. It's never been harder to recruit, hire, and engage workers. That's why HR leaders and frontline managers depend on Paycor for all things people management, from onboarding and performance reviews to compensation and benefits. Learn more at paycor.com/leaders.
This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2475. From Country Song to Rock Anthem by Helene Massicotte of F.I.R.E. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Now let's get to today's post as we optimize your life. From Country Song to Rock Anthem by Helene Massicotte of F.I.R.E. Mr. F.I.R.E. and I have had an interesting few weeks, to say the least. It made me think of the themes you might hear in a sad country song. Dog got hurt, computer crashed, wallet was stolen. Here's what happened. The belle of the ball. On Canada Day, our greyhound Belle came with us to the celebrations, as she always does. Everything was fine. She doesn't mind crowds. Until we were walking in the park and a misstep led to blood and a lot of howling and limping. We didn't know what happened, and we brought her to the vet when we noticed that she still had a limp. After 2 opinions and an x-ray, the final verdict was a badly broken nail that needed to be removed. The final bill? $323.06. The Great White Screen of Death. Our 5-year-old Mac gave me a white screen of death when I tried to reboot it on July 5th. I tried every reboot sequence I could find on geeky help forums, but nothing worked. I brought it in for service and it wasn't good news. The video card was fried and needed to be replaced, to the tune of $982.67. I called Apple, and after a bit of back and forth, it was confirmed that this was the fair amount I would have to cough up. Wallet worries. Mr. F.I.R.E. is getting into sailing. I know, I'm shocked. The prairie boy likes to sail. This activity does involve the water and learning how to capsize, which means wallet, phone, and keys need to stay on dry land. Well, while he was out doing his sailing thing on July 19th, his wallet grew legs. This meant calling various financial institutions to cancel or suspend our debit and credit cards, and the prospects of having to replace a driver's license, medical card, and various loyalty cards, among other things. Time to change the tune. We could certainly have done without these experiences. The tune wasn't to our liking, but it did start to sound pretty good despite it all. There's always a silver lining. The dog's got good bones. It does compute, and nothing was lost. Good bones. The vet visits were not all lost. The x-ray revealed that nothing was broken and she had great-looking bones, and that the solution would be a simple one, though one that Belle would not appreciate at the time. That meant that it could have cost a whole lot more. We found out that Belle's in great health. Some greyhounds we've known have had bone issues later in life, and she didn't need constant care and would be back on all fours in no time. And we could afford it. It does compute. I did my homework, and the amount we had to pay to fix the computer was fair and a better value than replacing the computer, both in money and effort. And we could afford it. The biggest benefit was that the hard drive was not fried, which would have been more expensive and extremely time-consuming to deal with. Luckily, we had a backup of the data, but still it would have been a real pain in the butt. What made it even more manageable was the slow but usable MacBook Pro that I still have kicking around. It allowed me to keep working during the repairs. A little added bonus. I guess my calm yet disappointed self exhibited good behavior despite not having a computer for 10 days because I ended up rewarded with 2 additional memory cards thrown in for free. That certainly was a nice surprise. As long as this computer lasts us another 2 years, we'll have made the right decision. On this last one, time will tell. It does make me want to upgrade my laptop's memory again though, just in case. Nothing lost. When it comes to the wallet situation, yes, we went through the pain of canceling the cards and such. But here's the way I'm looking at the stolen wallet situation. We have my cards to address anything we need to buy during the time it'll take to get new ones. Mr. Free to Pursue's spidey senses told him to leave most of his cash at home, so there was only $20 available for the taking, which reduced our potential for loss. We had access to online banking via our smartphone and could see in real time that nothing was being charged as we made the necessary calls. And the client I was working with was gracious enough to let me take 15 minutes to make said calls. The icing on the cake? The wallet was miraculously found the next day, intact. Ah, the power of a guilty conscience. And now the rock anthem. Quote, Slack provides a hidden efficiency. It gives us room to maneuver, to reshuffle when we err. Slack gives us room to fail. Sandhill Mullenanthan and Eldar Schaffer. Every step of the way, I kept thinking how grateful I was that we could deal with all the unfortunate events that occurred over the last few weeks. There's more to money reserves or emergency funds than meets the eye. Knowing that we have the slack we need to manage the inevitable bumps in the road that we encounter from time to time is precious in more ways than one. It's precious from a financial perspective, from a psychological perspective, and from an emotional perspective. None of this was a catastrophe, to be sure. But if we'd not had the means to address any one or all of the $1,305 we needed to cough up, it certainly could have felt like one. I like a sad country song just as much as the next person, but in this case, I'm much happier to report that we rocked it. You just listened to the post titled From Country Song to Rock Anthem by Helene Massicotte of freetopursue.com.
Reboot your credit card with Apple Card. It gives you unlimited daily cash back that can earn 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a savings account. A high-yield, low-effort way to grow your money with no fees. Apply for Apple Card now in the Wallet app on iPhone to start earning and growing your daily cash with savings today. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners, subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Paycor. Paycor empowers leaders to build winning teams. With Paycor, leaders can recruit, onboard and train employees, set goals, and drive performance. If you're a leader, everyone depends on you. Who do leaders depend on? Paycor. Learn more at paycor.com/leaders.
This article reminds me of the Stoic principle that it could always be worse. In fact, one of the main tools of Stoicism is negative visualization. Really thinking about just how awful things could be often has the ironic effect of making you realize that they aren't that bad. Also, it's unreasonable to assume that nothing bad will or should happen to us. It's inevitable that things are going to go wrong sometimes, and believing otherwise seems like a great way to fight with reality. I remember I had a colleague once who would complain anytime things didn't go our way or some obstacle was presented to us that we had to figure out. One day I asked him to consider that this is what we're paid for, to figure this stuff out. Also, if we never had any challenges, our jobs would probably be pretty boring. These obstacles can be seen as opportunities for us to demonstrate how good we are at our jobs. While that probably was a very annoying response in the moment, the point that I'm trying to make is that it's all about perspective. If we get bent out of shape over every problem presented to us, we're going to have a tough time navigating life, regardless of how much money we have. When I was walking the Camino back in 2017, I had an experience similar to what was described in this post. I had about 250 euros on me, and I dropped it somewhere. I think I just wasn't paying attention and left it out after paying for lunch. I was kicking myself at first, but then I remembered that number one, I can afford it. Number two, I was walking with a new friend that could spot me until I could get to an ATM. And number three, there were so many people I met on the trail who were in a less fortunate position than me. And the thought that someone like that found my money and made good use of it brought me comfort. I could afford it, and it could have been so much worse. That should do it for today. Have a happy rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.